Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at when it's week to 10 days in today's video. We're going to take us in towards the final week of July. We've also got some warmer, drier conditions being signalled by the models this morning, doing a bit of a change on what we've had so far this summer. So we've been waiting to get a bit of summer going. Well, you could be in luck. I'm not sure how seriously you can take this. It's quite a big change on the pattern we've had so far this summer. They might be going over the top a little bit with the models, but GFS what's generally set there. The ECM is very interesting from a convective thunder point of view. So not had many Spanish blooms so far this summer, but that's what the ECM is doing this morning. I'll show you the charts in a second. At the end of it, hang around to the end of the video. I'm going to show you the first chart from CFS V2 for the winter of 2016-2017. Long way off, but just quite an interesting chart that's showed up at the moment, or showing up at the moment from CFS B2. Before I get on with all of that, just say about the ads. There's links right across the page. You have a browse widgets and click through the links. You'll be able to help pay for our website. Thanks very much for doing that. More importantly, we are in the middle of a charity fundraising event. And big thank you to everybody that's donated so far. I've had 36 donations, which has taken us to £622. And that's all going to the Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance, who we are raising money for because they mean great deal to myself and my family. There was a event that occurred earlier in the year, and I won't go into the details about it at the moment, but if you want to know more about it, our story is on our Just Giving page, and this is our Just Giving page, where you can donate to Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance. So I'm going to leave a link in the description box at YouTube. There'll also be links across Gazwomen's. So you can get to this page very easily. When you get to this page, if you want to donate, all you have to do is click the yellow donate button, and you can donate whatever you want. You can also donate by text. So all you have to do for that is put our code, which is text our code, which is GWVS77, and the amount you would like to donate to be anything from £1 upwards, and text that to 770. And if you pay as you go, the amount will just be taken off your balance if you pay by a bill, and it'll go onto your bill next time. Don't forget to get the bill pay admission, of course, if you want to do it that way. And a big thank you to everybody for donating. It really does mean a huge amount. Everybody's very, very kind to be doing this for us and for the air ambulance. The air ambulance is completely reliant on charity donations. They don't receive any money from the government or from the National Health Service. So everything from the helicopter itself all the way down to the smallest plasters and pressure bandages, that kind of thing, has to be paid for by your donation. So a big thank you to everybody for doing that. And haven't donated yet, still got plenty of time to be running this through to the end of the month. Right, we'll get on with the video then. I'm going to start off CFS 500 millibar height anomalies. Sorry, we're going to look at CFS at the end. So we've got the 500 millibar height anomalies here for the next week to 10 days. The ECWF is on the top. The GFS, have a look at it in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by a jet stream running above. So the ECM has a trough out to the west of us, and hints of a little bit of northern blocking there over top of the pass. On the face, it's not that good a chart. The flow is going something a bit like that, I would think. The position of this trough is interesting because if it's out in the centre of the Atlantic with a ridge over Scandinavia, we're going to draw the air up from the south, and that's what the ECM does do for a time next week, producing quite a thundery breakdown. And then at the very end, around the day 8, day 10 time frame, it turns cooler, more unsettled. The GFS looks a bit like this. It's quite a bit different. So where we've got that trough to the west of us, the GFS is placing a ridge there and that's sort of extending into the UK a bit like that. This is sending a jet stream north into that sort of position. So that's a warmer, drier scenario, much quieter than what the ECMWF is doing. I'll show you the two model runs in a moment. You'll be able to see the difference. It is quite a substantial difference. So there is quite a bit of uncertainty here for next week. But I think there's some sort of pattern change beginning to work itself out within these models. But just not quite sure where it's all going at this stage. The ensembles, GFS ensembles looking like this, so the red line 30-year temperature average. We've been cooler than average most of the week, but we are going to go up over the weekend, going to get warmer. And it looks like going to stay quite warm into next week before maybe some sort of a cooling trend there for the final week of July. Precipitation shows we've got very little coming up. A lot of dry weather actually for the rest of this week into weekend and start of next week. Spikes do come back there later on, but that's sort of in the extended range of model, not necessarily worth worrying about. Temperature anomalies for the coming week, generally close to average, maybe going a little bit more towards warmer than average. I think these will probably tend to warm up, so turn redder over the coming few updates. Precipitation anomalies generally going a bit drier than average, particularly so for the south, northern areas near normal. So these are the all-important generic charts then. This is for GFS for Monday, and this is based on the 6 o'clock run, the very latest run of the GFS. So what we're seeing is that this ridge is extending in from the Atlantic. We've got this area of high pressure out in the central Atlantic, but it's thrown this ridge through into the country, which is sending the jet stream north of us into that position. So it's warmer and drier, not necessarily a heat wave, but certainly warmer and drier compared to what we've had through much of this summer so far. As we move through the week, we see that on Tuesday and into Wednesday, we tried to move up some sort of a thundery low, but actually it just goes into central parts of Europe. And we're sort of maintaining this flow from a westerly type direction. Quite a complicated pattern, but any thundery plume, it really misses us and goes into that sort of direction on the GFS. And we keep largely close to high pressure and the air remaining off the Atlantic. Now, going second half next week, this is a week away, Thursday, 21st of July, and then on into Friday, 22nd, that ridge re-establishes itself. So not a particularly exciting spell of weather that the GFS is going for next week, but it is very settled. There's a lot of dry weather there and pretty warm conditions also. Again, not necessarily all that hot because the position of the high pressure of the ridge means we maintain the flow off the Atlantic. Whenever the high is centred there and to there, we're going to be sending the air in to the UK in that direction. To get real heat, we have to send the high pressure over here, which pulls the air up from that direction. So it's not a heat wave, but it is very pleasantly warm with temperatures at least into the mid-20s Celsius, especially so for England and Wales under that ridge. We go through up to day 10, which is sunny 24th of July, and again lots of high pressure influences continuing. The low pressure and the cooler air generally is to the north of the country. ECMWF is more interesting, so we've got that ridge there across the country for Monday. As we go beyond that, we start to get this thundery low developing around Portugal and the Bay of Biscay. And that moves northwards as we go into the middle of next week. There it comes, like a proper thundery feature, thundery plume moving up from the south. That will be bringing thunderstorms and quite hot temperatures through to the middle of next week. And then it starts to cool down as that thundery low sits across the country and pulls the air back in from off the Atlantic. Here's the upper air temperatures for Tuesday. A lot of heat across France and to the south of us. That pushes northwards with that thundery low on Wednesday. 50 Celsius isotherm there is coming into the south of the country, which would lift temperatures probably to around 30 degrees, 86 Fahrenheit, but thunderstorms would be breaking out with that. And then, of course, it turns cooler in the second half next week, so that low pressure sits over the country. So that's for Thursday. Beyond that, it looks quite unsettled, the ECMWF, up to day 10, which is sunny 24th of July. Low pressure is generally centred to the west of us at that point, but still probably bringing in showery bursts of rain. The ECM is a much more lively, interesting, thundery run compared to the fairly quiet and benign GFS. It's a big difference, this. in terms of next week's weather. We're just going to have to wait and see which way this pans out. I don't think either model possibly has this completely pinned down for next week, but some sort of change of pattern seems to be taking place. By the way, notice all that yellow over Greenland, that's above average heights there. A little bit of northern blocking on day 10 on the ECMWF this morning. Right, I promised you that I'd show you the CFS V2 for the winter before I go. So this is, I've not shown you these charts yet. Long way off, of course, but this is the 700 millibar height anomaly from the CFS V2 for December, January, February 2016-2017. And it is quite interesting, this. Look at all this orange that the model is placing over Greenland and Iceland. That is northern blocking. There's a trough underneath it that's almost centred over the UK. That is very, very close to being a cold setup for the winter, with the wind flow coming in like that. Actually, the temperature normally from this model looks warmer than average, but I'm not interested in that. It's far too far away. It's the broad pattern that I'm looking at the moment. We'll be looking at for the next 2 or 3 months. And that looks quite interesting there, with that northern blocking being suggested to be parking itself over Greenland, and correspondingly we get what could be a cold trough sitting underneath it. Really long way off, of course, for that, so don't necessarily be taking that at all seriously. But we'll keep monitoring the CFS V2. It actually had the winter pattern, the last winter, which was very mild winter, had that pinned down really early, around August, September. And it never deviated, actually, as we went through the autumn last year. So we'll keep looking at the CFS V2 and see how it plays out over the coming weeks and months. In the more shorter range time frame, got uncertainty for next week. GFS suggests quite a prolonged spell of nice weather, not necessarily all that hot, but generally pleasantly warm and dry for much of next week. ECM wants to bring up a plume and some thunder. Well, I think if you like convection, that's the one to be pinning your hopes on. Jam A Friday tomorrow, looking at month ahead, so come back for that. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.